What is going on, gang? What happened to the Reebok Club C85 TVs? Are they discontinued? Also, how do you know if you have the TVs or if you just have the regular vintages? Like this guy on Reddit, he said that he ordered the TVs, but once he received them, it seemed like they were the regular vintages. So how are you supposed to know? Well, in terms of if they're discontinued or not, I did some digging around and it seems like they have been in fact discontinued. They're listed nowhere on Reebok's official website. I also checked the UK version of the website to see if maybe they were lingering on there. And they also had no listings for the TVs. You can still find listings for the TVs floating around online on third-party websites. But how do you know if they're really the TVs and not the regular vintages? Honestly, I don't know. For real though, while researching it and trying to figure it out, I really had more questions than answers. Visually, it seems pretty straightforward. The TV's got a nice little charm. They have the slightly better leather, which is why they cost more. But the leathers really seem to be almost identical and they can be really difficult to distinguish. Also, my box for the TVs came with the nice Reebok sleeve. And it's actually a little bit smaller than the regular vintage box. I'm not sure if the sleeve came from Reebok itself or if it came from End Clothing, which is a third-party retail site. I remember I had to buy them on End Clothing because they did not have my size on Reebok's official website. So I went to End Clothing. So clearly we know that there is a difference. But when you're purchasing online, how are you supposed to know? The only two websites that I could find that were advertising the sale of the TVs don't have the charm in the pictures, which is very concerning. Farfetch has them listed. They're more expensive. They're $120. They're clearly advertised as the TVs, but there's no charm in sight. No charm in any of the photos. End Clothing is the same thing. They say Reebok Club C85 TV. They're more expensive at $109, but it's the same thing. On the pictures, there's no charm in between. And if the TVs don't have a charm, they're pretty much identical to the vintages. So it's almost impossible to really tell the difference. All right, well, no biggie, right? Maybe you just don't get the charm anymore. Inflation. But they still have the slightly better leather and are definitely the TVs, right? Just check the codes, right? Well, let's do that. The vintages have a code of V67899, while the TVs have a code of DV6434. Well, going back to Farfetched, it says that the product ID is DV6434, which is the correct SKU, basing it on my pair. So these seem to be okay. These seem to be pretty legit, right? And then going on End Clothing, they don't list the product code, so you can't really be sure. But what is interesting is that on sneakers and stuff, the Club C85 Vintage, it's labeled as clearly as the Vintage, also has a product code of DV6434. And the guy that I talked about earlier in the video on Reddit, who purchased a pair of Club C85 TVs, his box did not have the Union Jack on it. It wasn't labeled as TV anywhere, and it also had the same product code, the DV6434. So it seems like there's a mix of almost like a crossover, because even going on StockX, the product code is DV6434. On the official website, they actually don't have a product code, or the product code is completely different. And then on this website, Nice Kicks, which they're sold out, but they have the product code as V67899, which is what I have for my vintages. So it's completely mixed. There seems to be no distinction in the codes. There's no one code that the TVs have, and then there's no one code that the vintages have. So you can't tell based on the code. They're both also made in Vietnam, so you still don't know. So that doesn't help. So it's a complete toss-up. If you're buying them online, good luck. There's also very few of the TVs listed for sale anyways. The only way to really know if you're buying them online is literally if they have the charm. That's the only way to know if they're really the TVs. What I'm guessing may have happened was that they were discontinuing the TVs just because they were more expensive, and maybe the slight differences didn't justify the higher cost for most consumers. So I think they decided to discontinue it. Instead of sticking with the SKU, they kind of rolled over the vintages into the TV SKU, which is why you end up with a big mix-up of different SKU numbers. Hey, what's up guys? While editing, I found this useful Reddit post about the product codes. The product code for the regular vintages, V67899, which is what I have for my pair, is the product code that has been discontinued. And the code for the TVs, the DV6434, is the one that has actually stayed. Which makes sense because I rarely see the vintages. with the V67 product code. They usually always have the DV code. So it seems like the regular vintages got rolled over to the DV code and they dropped the TV moniker and the charm that was unique to the TVs, which obviously caused a lot of confusion since that code brings up the TVs. Like with that story with that guy on Reddit. It has the right code, but when he received them, they look like the regular vintages. So that explanation makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's what may have happened. I'm not sure though. If you guys have any better explanations, let me know in the comments. Also, if you guys know any better way to differentiate them, also let me know in the comments. And as always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.